On the Prosharp machines, the original dressing for the wheel looks like this. Ever since the machine came out, it originally was a Montana machine, then they became Prosharp years later. And this dresses a conventional radius of hollow on the grind wheel. This is a grind wheel. The diamond is down in here that goes back and forth. And here's where you adjust the radius of hollow. You move the carriage with respect to this indicator here. So it's moving the diamond away from the center line down here this way. There's a 3/8 inch radius of hollow. What you need to do is go ahead and make sure the diamond's lifted up so you don't crater it on here. If you make a big change, you don't want to jam the diamond up. But when it's spinning, you go ahead and move this back and forth. Then there's a newer type of head that's come out in the last so many years that's called a Z-channel, and that fits on in place of this. So if you look at a newer machine, they pretty much all have a Z-channel on it. Uses the same diamond that screws into here, and you move this back and forth, and what it does is there's the ball bearing it revolves on an eccentric, and this cuts actually leaves the center portion uncut, so it sticks up like a little mountain in the center. And what that does, it cuts a groove down in the skate, so you've got a left and right edge, so you've got a higher top end because you've got a thinner skate touching the ice. It's kind of like their answer to the flat bottom V, or I guess Sparks' fire ring. And this fits on here, and you have different widths of the center trough that's cut into the skate, small, medium, and large. And this little gizmo on here, when you cut it, instead of having a full swing back and forth, you're going to cut this and lift this up, move it on this side and cut it. And that's what this spring-loaded gizmo is here. Lifts up and down. And if the travel is such it touches here on the fat portion of that, it's what you call large gap. If it's here in the medium, it lets this thing revolve a little bit more toward the center. If it touches the screw portion right here, then it's going to make a small trough that's on the skate. So it goes up like that, back and forth. So that's a Z-channel mechanism on the Prosharp. And you can just go ahead and lift this thing up and do a conventional. So this is basically this that's been modified, so you can do Z-channel. You can just lift this gizmo all the way up and go back and forth and just do a conventional radius of hollow on that. But this was added, I want to say 6, 8, 10 years ago, something like that, is a modification. And this is the conventional one that's been out since probably the 80s, 1980s, if I had to guess, in the old Montana units. Montana units were kind of like an aqua color, blue, and then the later models, which are named Prosharp, are kind of a maroon color, and then the newer ones are kind of a blue color, sort of like this here. So there's at least 3 different series of these. Some of the original ones were either a light blue, light kind of a green or whitish looking. And then there's a 2000 model, 2001, that you can put templates on over here with the template holder. And then the one that's the 101's a shorter bed on it that you use without putting profiling templates. And again, if you're going to change the radius of hollow back and forth on this, you want to make sure that if you're not going to go ahead and, on any machine, you don't want to go ahead and tear up the diamond. So you got to be aware the diamond is if you make a big change in the radius of hollow. And the ones that are marketed for Europe, this is a metric, so the 1/4 inch is about 6 millimeter. Here by the ones, 25 millimeter. And that goes back and forth and dresses the wheel. So it has kind of an interesting mechanism, goes back and forth like that. So that hole is not in center with the ball bearing. It's a little bit offset. And that's the Z channel for enhanced performance.